All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's market conversation. My name is Abigail, and I'll be taking the first part of today's analysis where we're going to be looking at commodity currencies, right? And after that, shortly after, we're going to have my colleague come on board and do his own analysis on indices. All right, so I see about a couple of us already online. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's session. Before we fully go into today's analysis, I'd like to ask that please send this link to people that you know will benefit from these sessions that we host at the VFT Academy daily for free, right? It didn't take you so much time, just 30 seconds of your time. You fill it up on your status and in trading groups that allow the sharing of links so that more people get to participate from what we do over here at the Academy. Okay, with that being said, let us look at what the market has in store for us today. So I'm going to be starting off my analysis with AUD USD, and I'm just going to take a quick look at the monthly time frame, looking at what price has done so far. You see from the monthly time frame that we have and our most recent swing, which happens to be around the zone, we're expecting price to buy back into a very premium level. It's what the ICT traders call OTE. So we're expecting price to trade back into a good enough zone so we can continue the swing structure, which is a sell. But this is the monthly time frame, and it's going to take a very long time before price does it. However, I now have a view of where I expect price to trade into. I then go down to the weekly time frame, and I'm just going to be determining my trend here. So we're fairly still to the downside. Price came and violated this zone that ought to have printed a lower low, right? And it has given this high here. So I'm going to be watching these two levels. I want to see if price is able to come and trade above this high and violate it to the upside. If not, we want to see price continue forming structures to the downside. So now that I have this perspective and this bar, I'm going down to the 4-hour time frame to look for immediate points of interest that I'm going to be looking out for either the buy continuation into my monthly POI or the sell opportunities point of interest as well, depending on the kind of trade we're looking to trade. Okay, so now this is now my most recent swing on the 4-hour time frame from point A to B, and this is now my OTE. See how it also confluences with a flip zone and a fair value gap right around this level. So for AUD USD, I am waiting for price to buy back into the zone so that I can continue the weekly structure store to the downside. And price does eventually go into that level. For those of us who have been following our market color sessions for a while, you know what we're looking for. I want to see confirmations, and that those basically include my base and my variation pattern. Once those are printed around these levels, we're going to be continuing the sell of AUD USD. Okay, now that we have our buyers on AUD USD, let's go over to check out what NZD USD has in store for us today. Again, just a quick look at the monthly time frame. This is not what I do every time. Just give it a quick glance and move forward. So this is what price is doing. Expecting price to eventually retrace back into the zone, right? Okay, so go ahead and delete that. The weekly time frame, what is my predominant trend? Clearly to the downside and expected price buyback, which I call the minor structure, is just a retracement back into a good enough zone for us to continue the sell NZUSD. So let's just go to the 4-hour time frame and see what we have here. Okay, so for this, I can't go ahead and mark out this swing because it hasn't given me a good enough pullback. If anything, the swing that I consider valid right here is the reversal swing, and this is for price to buy back into our weekly points of interest. So price is now here. I see a good enough zone. I could then do something like this. Buy NZUSD back into this level, and then continue the sell-off. Parallel on NZUSD and AUD, my bias to the downside, expecting temporal buys of these asset classes. Now that we see how we're expecting an NU, for those of us who are following us online, what you want to do is just pay attention to these different zones that we mapped out. The level around 0.60000 is my overall point of interest, and I'm expecting price to buy back into that level. Okay, so I'm seeing opportunities. If this zone holds, if this link eventually holds and gives us confirmation, there's an opportunity to take back buy into those pro level. But bear in mind that reversal trades are not considered the best probability setups. The trades that go along with our trend are the best setups. So if price comes against confirmation, I could reduce my risk and buy back NZUSD into my overall point of interest before I then continue to trade along with structure. All right, so let us give a quick look at the USD card as well and see what this asset class is doing this amazing morning. Again, quick look. All right, so expecting price, I see price returning downward, just a reversal. And when it does do that, you see that we have a flip zone that's around this level. There's a resistance here that could serve as future support. But again, remember, this is the monthly time frame, so it's going to take quite a bit of time. What we want to do is to mark that out so that whenever price returns into that level, we know what we're watching out for. But of course, even if we're marking out this zone, you're also putting in mind, putting into perspective fundamentals that could shift our bias. All right, so price, I'm expecting price to eventually return into this level on the weekly time frame. What is my predominant trend? Clearly to the upside, right? So you see that price came close to our 50% fib level, but it did not fully retest it. We want to see price come and tap into that specific price point. So right now, I'm still waiting for USD card to eventually return back into this level, either the 50% Fibonacci level or the 61.8, and then we are going to continue the buy of USD card. So we're just going to go ahead to 4-hour time frame and see if we have zones that we can mark out for immediate interest, right? So I'm looking at this now, you can see how choppy it looks. USD card has been in some sort of a range for a while. Regardless, it did give us a swing here, give us a swing from point A to B around this level, and you can see that price came to retest what the ICT traders call the OTE, and it is now selling downward. So I believe that there is still more room for USD card to trade lower into our higher time frame point of interest, and then we are going to continue the buy of this asset class. So this is my overall bias. Most of our points of interest have been marked out in the 4-hour time frame. So for those of us who took down notes of those levels, let's wait for price to get into those zones. And then once it gets into those zones and it meets our entry pattern, we have confirmation to take those buys. We are going to be buying USD card and selling AUD USD and NZD USD. Take a quick look at Forex Factory to see if we have any fundamental news coming out that could cause quick moves in the market. Today is the 25th of March. You can see that everything we have here are low impact and high impact, right? So I don't expect too much volatility in the market today. However, tomorrow we have this PPI coming out on the Aussie. So if this happens to come out higher than expected, we expect the AUD to have momentum to the upside. But if it happens to come out lower, then we'll just be seeing more pressure for the AUD to tank, right? So for those of us who do not know how to use the Forex Factory platform, simply click on this folder and you'll see what it measures and the effects. As you can see, actual greater than forecast is good for currency, and when something is good for the currency, we expect strength into that currency. Looking at the Forex performance as well, to see what play we have, you can see that on the weekly time frame, strength happens to be going into the Aussie and CAD as well. The dollar is also gradually gaining strength overall. You can tell that we do not have a clear-cut economic theme at the moment. One thing we can say, however, is it looks like we're starting to gradually have a risk on play because Aussie the card are both risk affected and so is NZD. So if we do eventually see AUD card and NZD all leading, then we can categorically say I was seeing a risk on play. However, if this is still mixed, we're still just going to be watching. But you can see that the yen is weak, the CHF is weak, the dollar is the only safe haven currency that happens to be gaining gradual strength. So overall, on the weekly time frame, strength happens to be going into the risk asset. Let us look at the daily and see what is also happening here. Maybe the second without that image will be not perfect. So on the daily time frame, however, you can see that the yen is strongest with the dollar also. And then we have, so everything is mixed. We do not have a clear economic theme on the daily time frame. On the weekly time frame, it is giving signs of strength going into our risk assets, which are, of course, commodity currencies. All right, and that's pretty much what I am looking out for today. If you do have any questions, this is the perfect time to ask. I will quickly answer that before we then go further to cover the second part of this session. If you do not have any questions, please let me know if this was helpful to you by leaving an emoji or typing in full, right? Before we call it a wrap and move into the second part. Mr. Ayuba, good morning, sir. Good to have you here. Mr. Alex, Christian, Daniel, and Mr. Joshua. Mr. Everyone. Hi, Rima. Good morning, ma'am. I'd like to go. Let me know if you have any questions. If not, was this helpful to you? Please let me know by using an emoji or comment to that. All right, perfect. Okay, so without taking too much more of our time, we're going to go on a very short break, 30 seconds to 1 minute, after which we continue the second part of this session. Thank you for joining. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back shortly. Cheers and God bless.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the second part of this market color session. How are we doing? Hope we are good. Hope we're fine. Welcome back to the second part of market color session. We'll be looking at the indices markets this morning. By the indices market, I mean the US 30, NAS 100, and the S&P 500 markets, both from the technical perspective and currently what we have on the fundamental part of things. All right, fundamentally speaking, we can see a cool off across board on US 30, across US equity, US 30, NASDAQ, and also S&P 500. That is because, like we mentioned last week, that we've seen like a relief across board from tariff, policies that President Trump has been placing, and that's why we saw a rally. Remember the buy we are looking at on Thursday, right? The buys from Thursday, from Tuesday down to Thursday, we saw marked out of certain areas, and then price the market has really rallied from those points. And we mentioned clearly that those rally were as a result of cooling effect, right? Temporary cooling effect from tariff, right? And then we might see that extend into April, right? Because President Trump, from some of the media outlets, said that he most likely will, relieve the tariff plan on several countries, right? He's going to relax on that. While we are relaxing on that, he's also mentioning that he's going to give several countries 25% tariff from any country that buys from Venezuela oil, right? Also, automobile tariff plan is also coming again. So it's a whole mix of, in Nigerian terms, we call it basbos, if you understand what I mean, right? A lot of political tension, right? So is on one end is relieving plan for some country, on the other end is planning to impose another tariff on another country. So it's very, very dicey, and investors are looking which country are also going to be affected in this new automobile tariff that's coming. Also the one from Venezuela, countries buying from Venezuela oil and gas. So, but that being said, everything still remain intact, still remain, I want to believe, still remain very cool until April 2nd, right? Because he plans on imposing those tariffs April 2nd. So I think we have some days left before that. So this buy, we should see it still extend to some levels. So let's look at the technical aspect of things this morning, and then we can take it off from there. On US 30, we have this previous swing, right? And then we mentioned that we wanted to start doing what? Start selling from above 50% of the retracement, right? So once price is above 50% of the retracement, we're looking forward to start selling. We're preparing for our sell. And of course, we've bought from these levels, and of course, we've taken profits. For those that understand what I mean by that, last week we marked out some level. Yes, last week we marked out some several levels that we wanted to start buying from, and we mentioned clearly that our buy will be to 50%, right? Anything above 50%, we want to start looking for sale. So if you're in that position, you can either, clear off everything and then liquidate all your position, or you take probably 80% off the table, right? And then allow the remaining 20 to run, which is still currently running, right? So that being said, on the higher time frame, daily time frame, the market is still very much, bearish. However, we are retracing a bit. So on the 4-hour time frame, what do we have? On the 4-hour time frame, the market is still very, very much moving. However, we have a setup here. Remember last week markup that we marked out for a sell using our technical strategy, right? Which is the box pattern. So you have a sweep to this upside, and then price did what? Broke structure to the downside, and then ever since price broke structure, we've not retested that level again. We expect that price is going to come into this zone, and then what do we see? We start to see like a sell-off, right? And this also aligns with the current thing we have. If those tariff information push on and we see that being implemented on several countries, then we should see another round of sell-off again in the market across board, right? So that being said, we should expect that price is going to trade somewhere around this region. Once price comes to above this region, above this fib level here, we should expect those sell-off, right? Everything being equal. That being said, let's move to our NASDAQ, that's US 100. See what we have for today. Also, across board, we are very, very much bearish. It's just a retracement, right, for now, and then price hasn't gotten to 50% level, right, above 50%. So we are still waiting for price to move. Of course, we said that there's still a lot of opportunity for us to see that up push in the market. So we're waiting for price to trade above 50% of the skip level, and by the time we come to 4-hour time frame, you'll see that it's very, very obvious that we need that 50% fib level for us to start looking or considering a sell-off in this market. The continuation of the sell-off. Then we come to the 2-hour time frame. You have a box pattern here. You have a box pattern somewhere above here, right? Which is this. Use this. Okay. Right. Sweep, it breaks the downside 1 hour. See it clearly on 1 hour. Okay. A sweep, it breaks to the downside, and then waiting for price to come above here and then start testing it, starts pushing to the downside again, right? So let me look at this. Let's look at this zone. All right, that's way above 50%, which also is very, very, very much valid. All right, for me personally, I'll wait for price to come around this zone, right? For me to start taking trade, start looking for those sell-off in the market. Except we see a change in policy again. Probably a tariff plan just shows up out of the blue again. Then we might just see a U-turn, right? Price won't even get to this before we start seeing that sell-off again, because that will also affect investors' confidence in the market, right? But everything being equal as where price currently is and what we have going on, fundamentally, we should still see like a buy, some bullish momentum in this market, like price pushing up onto the 20,928 level. We should see that happening. All right, that being said, we'll be going to the last one for today. That's the S&P 500, and which we'll call it a day from there for us to resume back by 2 p.m. for the New York session. All right, also on S&P 500, market has been correcting for some while now since last week, right? We've seen a correction in the market, which is something we also anticipated. And of course, we're waiting for price to trade above the 50% fib level for us to start selling off this market, right? Selling off from a premium zone. So price is currently on 38.2. We're waiting for price to react up from this zone, because from there we can see, bigger opportunity in the market. However, on the 4-hour time frame, what are we seeing on the 4-hour time frame? On the 4-hour time frame, we have like a fair value gap here, but we've not seen a sweep yet. We've not seen a proper sweep of market, right? Let's look at on the 2-hour time frame. if we're going to see something very, very clear. Okay, for S&P 500, technically speaking, our setup hasn't formed yet. We'll just have to wait. The only setup that is very clear and obvious for now is on US 30 and on Nasdaq. So for S&P 500, most likely we're just going to wait for it to come to this region, and then if we're even going to enter the market, we'll be entering based on the fact that we've seen is set up on US 30 and is currently playing out. So we just use correlation to, enter the market. But technically speaking, on S&P 500, we are not yet there in terms of box strategy, right? For those that understand box strategy, sweep and then, sweep of liquidity, break of structure, and return to that area. So we've not seen that happen yet on S&P 500. So for now, we'll be waiting. And of course, across board, we are waiting for price to get to our areas of interest. But specifically on S&P 500, we have no setup as to speak. But anything can happen before the end of the week. So we'll be on the outlook, we're watching closely to see what is going to happen. All right, this is a good time to ask a question on US 30, NAS 100, S&P 500. Do we have any question? Do you have any specific question for today's analysis on S&P 500, on US 30, on Nasdaq? I believe my colleague has done justice to commodity, assets. Do you have any question? And if you find this helpful, let me know in the chat box. Let me know in the chat box that this was helpful. Let me know. Let me know. Also, if you have any question, we can type that in the chat box quickly so that we do that and then wrap up this session. Let me know. Waiting for responses. Mr. Yuba, France, Yoga, Marvelous, Lawrence, Lewis. You with me. We are sorry, Oladipo, Oni, Oroma. You have any question? Okay. Lawrence said I'm just joining. Okay, I'm waiting for the rest. Oroma, Oluwaseyi, and Oladipo. Okay. So F no questions, just waiting for April. Yes, yes. Just I joined late. Oh, no problem, no problem. Thank you so much for your feedback. All right, we'll be meeting again by 2 p.m. for the New York session. And by then we'll be looking at what probably anything has changed in the market. And of course, looking for ways to, get more profitable setup. Until next time, that's 2 p.m. Ensure you use your proper risk management. I wish you profitable trading. Thank you also for joining today. We meet again by 2 p.m. Thank you and God bless.